When General John J. Pershing died on July 15, 1948, the nation mourned the loss of its greatest military hero. He was laid in state in the United States Capitol Rotunda and buried at Arlington National Cemetery. 1,000 miles away, the small town of Laclede, Missouri, reflected on its most famous son. Even while defending all Americans on every international front, he never forgot his Midwestern roots. There was nothing in Pershing's humble beginnings to suggest his spectacular future. His parents, John and Ann Pershing, lived in a one-room railroad section house. This is where John Joseph was born in 1860. He was the first of 9 children. Watching his parents instilled a solid work ethic in the young John. During hard economic times, John Pershing Sr. hit the road as a traveling salesman. At the age of 15, John was left with a horse, a plow, and a farm to support his mother and siblings the best he could. When farming wasn't enough, he worked as a janitor for the small school in Laclede. John's time in the schoolhouse led him to pursue a career in teaching. Often instructing children who were his seniors, John became comfortable in the role of a leader. He taught at the Prairie Mound School for 2 years. A newspaper ad caught John's eye that would change his future and the future of our country. An examination was to be given to earn placement in the United States Military Academy at West Point. Young Pershing had always dreamed of a higher education. He knew this was a great opportunity. Pershing took the exam, and his score tied with another young man. The examiners asked the 2 finalists a tie-breaking question. Pershing's answer was just a cut above, sending him on his way to West Point in 1882. Pershing rose to leadership early at the Academy. He commanded the West Point Honor Guard that escorted the funeral of President Ulysses S. Grant. He was elected the president of his senior class and graduated in 1886. Thus began a lifetime of crossing the country and the globe. As a military man, Pershing continued to act as a teacher, becoming a professor of military science and tactics. He studied as well as taught and received his law degree in 1895. Pershing was assigned to lead the all-black 10th Cavalry Regiment of the United States Army in Montana. These men were known as the Buffalo Soldiers. Pershing had been raised in a home of racial tolerance. His father abhorred slavery, and his mother raised a Union flag outside their Laclede home. As a young teacher, Pershing had endured taunts for teaching black children. He was not surprised by the nickname he was given of Black Jack Pershing. He never forgot his service with the Buffalo Soldiers. Later in his career, Pershing was instrumental in moving black units into the honorable position of combat rather than being relegated to support missions in the rear. Pershing's early career included San Juan Hill during the Spanish-American War and extended service in the Philippine-American War. He crossed the globe with military distinction following in his wake. In 1905, Pershing met and married Frances Warren. She was the daughter of a prominent United States Senator from Wyoming. Soon they had 3 daughters of their own and a young son, Warren. As a family, they followed his commands from Tokyo to Manchuria, the Philippines to Mexico. In 1914, Pershing was assigned to Fort Bliss, Texas, and placed in charge of Mexican-American border security. With the young George S. Patton as his aide, Pershing led an expedition into Mexico, pursuing the revolutionary leader Pancho Villa. As Pershing made plans for his family to join him in Texas, he received devastating news. A telegram arrived at Fort Bliss recounting a lacquered floor blaze that rapidly spread through the family's quarters in San Francisco. Smoke inhalation killed Pershing's wife Helen and their 3 daughters. Only young Warren, age 6, was saved. Many who knew Pershing say, understandably, he never recovered. After the funeral of his beloved girls, Pershing retrieved Warren and they returned together to Fort Bliss. Pershing resumed his command with even greater commitment. World War I found General Pershing in France as the commander-in-chief of the American Expeditionary Forces. He commanded more than 2 million men. At war's end, Pershing returned with the rank of General of the Armies of the United States. This rank was bestowed on him by a special act of Congress in 1919. Every American knew General John J. Pershing. He mentored the most famous names of the next military generation: George C. Marshall, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Omar Bradley, George S. Patton, and Douglas MacArthur. Young Warren Pershing grew into honorable military service himself and acted as an advisor under George C. Marshall in World War II. Warren's own two sons added further distinction to the Pershing name. While in the Army, John Warren Pershing III helped shape the Army and Army ROTC service nationwide. His brother Richard was killed in action in Vietnam. The name John J. Pershing should still be known by every American, every veteran, every school child. Never in American history has there been such a man. He was the only living person in our country's history to be named a 6-star general. There are only two men with such an honor, Pershing and our founding father, General George Washington. Washington was given his honor posthumously in 1976. Perhaps it seemed unfair for our first president to be outranked. General Pershing honorably retired in 1924. He spent much of his retirement establishing memorials in Europe for fallen soldiers. Pershing was an extremely modest man and never pursued honors or memorials for his own accomplishments. Others must establish these well-deserved memorials to his service. In an attempt to do just this, the Pershing Park Memorial Association was formed in 1930. The following year, the association purchased nearly 2,500 acres just west of Pershing's boyhood home. When informed of the purchase, Pershing modestly wrote, "I'm glad you wrote me frankly about your park proposal. Of course, I can do nothing in my own honor, but I have never said anything against it. I never will. Since my boyhood days, I have regarded the site you have selected as a scene of beauty." That land was donated to the state of Missouri in 1937 and is enjoyed by thousands each year as Pershing State Park. The last years of General Pershing's life were spent in Walter Reed Hospital. In 1948, he was buried near the men he commanded in Arlington National Cemetery. In his own words, he said, "Here let me rest among the World War veterans. When the last bugle call is sounded, I want to stand up with my soldiers." In 1952, the Pershing Park Memorial Association bought Pershing's boyhood home in Laclede. The home was sold to the Missouri State Park Board that same year and functions as an historical home museum. Guarding the home is a magnificent statue of the general himself. Originally gracing the state capitol in Jefferson City, Missouri, the statue was relocated to the Pershing complex and refinished in 1968. Continuing Pershing's wish to be surrounded by his soldiers, in 1983 the association erected a wall of honor surrounding his statue. Here, for a donation, veterans from any war may have their name inscribed. The most recent addition to the Pershing complex is the Prairie Mound School. This is the actual school where Pershing taught. It was here he read that newspaper ad for the exam that changed his life. The school houses a small exhibit gallery where Pershing treasures such as his West Point class ring are displayed. For over 70 years, the dedication of the Pershing Park Memorial Association and its volunteers have kept the memory of General John J. Pershing alive. There's one remaining piece in establishing a lasting legacy for this extraordinary American hero. The association has planned a state-of-the-art building to house a museum, archives, and an educational facility. The museum gallery will display hands-on and interactive displays spanning General Pershing's life and military career. There will be flexible space housing a theater and conference area. The entire complex will be made available to scholars, school groups, conferences, and the general public. Groundbreaking for this impressive facility is scheduled for September 17, 2010. The Pershing name cannot be lost to history. We are the generation that will ensure his place is firmly held in the hearts and minds of all Americans. Through the years of work by the Pershing Park Memorial Association and the generous contributions of many individuals and service organizations, we are nearing our goal. Please join us in our mission to preserve the memory of a true American hero.